And somebody throws their skepticism in there, and then it just becomes kind of a weird thing. I'm going to go through quick demos of these devices just to get them inside your hands. You're all going to have questions about your devices, I promise you. Hang on to those questions until we get to that first location. This is, well, the second location, because this is our first stop. So the second location, I'm going to work with each one of you one-on-one, so that way everybody has a great gist of what they're doing with their particular device. So the first thing we're going to be working with is thermal imaging. I'm going to go all the way down. You guys should be able to see me in there. I'm the orange, red, and yellow guy. That means I'm the warmest or the hottest thing inside the picture, depending on who you are. So bridal parties love that joke, by the way. The wife hates it. But really what we're looking for, literally, are cold spots within this camera. The blue and the black areas inside the frame are the colder areas. It's set up to white, hot, black, cold. So we're looking for those blue and black areas to either take shape or move on their own. There's a blue dot bouncing around the screen. It's giving us the coldest point in the frame at that particular moment. So it's helping to guide our eye. Now, little Noelle over here, she's going to be our camera person. I don't think I've ever handed this camera to any person that's not an adult, so I feel like she's going to be super responsible, and she's going to be awesome at this. So she's also going to have a little cheat sheet to kind of tell us what the temperature, like the highest and the lowest in the frame are. We're not going to have that on your video. I'm going to give you a few markers to like start and stop the video. You're going to hit that little red square for me. Right now it is recording, so everybody knows how to watch the video with the blue dot. You're going to keep it horizontal, just like this. So it's going to lay this way, and you're going to keep the camera on your left. So I will fix it if you're kind of out of whack. So just make sure you hold it just like this. You get to watch the cool stuff all night long. Let's get out the other camera and get those bouncing around. No, I'll let you know when I have the new device that I have no idea how it completely works yet. So this is not it, even though it looks like it's kind of crazy. So this camera. This one works completely different. So, quick demo on this guy. You should not be able to see me in that camera, so it should be pretty dark in there. We're going to turn on some lights here in just a moment. I know that the viewfinder is pretty small. We're working with light that you cannot see with your own eyes. I should be in a pinkish or purplish hue, depending on the way you see color. So, what we're working with here is light emitting from the camera that we can't see. The hope here is that we're going to be able to capture something we wouldn't normally be able to see. So this is actually a really cool camera. It's not an every night kind of moment. We're not going to capture a lot of film with this because the files are huge. I don't start the recording until later on, until we're actually investigating. Mark, was it?
Yes.
This one's going to go to you, my friend.
Okay.
I will show you more about that device as we move along. So we have two cameras working tonight. So Noelle, you might want to listen up. So when we have certain areas that we're going to be in, because again, some of these spaces the other tours won't go to because there's nothing to see. We might be spread out in an area like this where there's vehicles. If I say act casual, you're just going to pretend you're looking at a cell phone and you're going to point your camera at the ground. People don't like their cars to be filmed and they don't like to be filmed themselves. We don't want to be YouTubers out here, even though your videos go to YouTube. Hint, hint. So let's get into spirit boxes. Spirit boxes are a way for us to listen to the dead. We are going to be using several different types of spirit boxes tonight. So this one in particular, do you guys all watch the ghost hunting shows? Right? Yes, no? Okay. Mainly? Okay. So that's the white noise, and then the host will tell you what he thinks he heard in the middle of it. So this one is, we're just going to be doing that in real time. So the cool thing is that the two people that I have two of these. These two people are going to have earbuds in. They're going to be the only ones to hear these in real time. However, this one in particular with the little red tab on it is going to record the entire session for us. Now, the cool thing is I have mine slowed down. So if you listen to white noise all night long for 2 hours with me, plus all the history I'm going to give you, Darby's going to fall asleep. So, again, I have it slowed down. I want you listening for the song lyrics, the DJs, and the commercials. If you can make out what they're saying, because it's going to go through pretty quick for you. It's as slow as I can make it. You're going to get the full recording back. It's a 50-50 shot that whatever you hear, I can probably tie it to the location of where we are, a person in history we're talking about, or even something going on with one of us. It happens all the time. So, I'm going to get this one set up and send you an earbud and, plug that in for you. The only button you'll need to worry about is the volume. It's right here. So it's a little tiny wheel. I'm going to plug it in here. But you can play with the volume all you want. It doesn't mess up the recording, and it doesn't record what we are saying. It's only the speed. So, again, it is just a recording. Yeah. It'll just be on my audio or all the other cameras. Not your recording. You'll be fine. You'll have to undo the little twist tab.
Oh, there, yeah.
Yeah, it'll be on YouTube for sure. That's a million hits for me. So you'll have to undo the twist tie. I'm a funny guy. You're gonna find that out. There's your volume right there. So get used to where that's at. So let's see. I can remember names. Ari, was it? She's like, yeah.
Pretty good.
See, I wasn't gonna mess it up twice. So yours will not record. So you're gonna have to tell me what you hear out of it. So I'm gonna keep a little notepad with me too. You're gonna see me a little nerdy writer guy taking all these little notes, so it's in your analysis tomorrow morning. So I'm gonna set up an earbud for you too, so that way you can listen in. Most people will tour with just one ear in, so that way they can hear the history as well. So that's usually how people do it. You do it however you want. If you don't want to hear me talk all night, by all means, plug both ears in. It's sweeping on purpose. I wanted to do that. So you have to undo the twist tie, but your volume button is the wheel, so it's not the button. You got this. So the next Spirit Box works a lot differently. So this one is going to give us words from time to time in the center of the screen. So this is a phone app. Kind of keep that in mind. It's going to save all those words to a list. Last night's tour, they had 79 terms come up. The cool thing is that it gives me timestamps. It kind of helps direct me on where to watch the videos and listen to audios and things like that. I'm going to clear them out and start us off fresh. Now, 80% of what comes out of this thing doesn't mean anything. It's a phone app. Now, there's over 9,100 terms in here, so it's kind of helping the Ghost convey messages back to us with whatever's coming up out of this. So 5 to 20% of this, you're going to get the whole list. But what's actually relevant, I'm going to tell you why it's relevant based on our location, and then give you the backlink to be able to, that one's going to go to you, so that way you guys can kind of work in tandem. So I don't want to see every word that pops up, otherwise we'll be out here for like 6 hours. So I will come to you when I want to see the list. Let's do this. Susan, you seem very responsible. Is it Sue?
Oh, you're so wrong.
So, this is the neuralizer from Men in Black. None of you are going to remember anything when we're done. So, this guy, lasers.
Power.
Lasers get Nick in a lot of trouble. They obviously do not go to children at all.
Right.
There is a laser law in Charleston. So the reason why we're using lasers is because it actually goes well with Mark's camera. He can see these lasers beautifully through the camera. So you're going to be working with him at about this distance, just so you know. And why we're using these is because we're looking for motion. You can't see the lasers till something passes through it. So you're going to be using two different styles. This one gives us red squares and green dots. So the red squares, if we capture something here, I'm going to take the still from the video and I'm going to put it in 3D software and show everybody a full 3D view of what we caught along with measurements. So I've had this for almost a year and haven't caught anything that the 3D software will take yet. However, tonight might be our night. We never know. But you want to kind of, this one has a button you have to hold on, just so you know, and lasers stay on the ground.
Yes. And you want it on all the time?
No, I do not want it on all the
tell me.
time. Yes. Now this one has a toggle switch, so once you turn it on, it stays on. So you got to watch like where you go with it. Lasers will set off car alarms, so no pressure at all.
Okay.
If you want to pocket
I'm
one,
not a great tech person, so maybe. Well, I'll do my best.
okay, it'll be fine. Now, also keep in mind there are 6 people in your party. If you guys need to switch things up, switch things up.
Okay.
Let's see, how do I do this? Who is pretty high tech? Do I have somebody high tech that doesn't have a device yet?
Go for it.
This is the brand new one.
Okay.
So this is a Spirit Box that will actually take the FM stations and the AM stations and run them together and take out the white noise. So it will literally spit out random sounds and hopefully words throughout the night. This is the brand new one. I haven't even used it yet other than to tinker with the settings. You know, obviously this morning when I got it. So I'm going to set it up real quick and then I'm going to show you where the mute button is. You can see how it's just giving us random sounds. We never know if a word's actually going to come through that. So again, it's running both FM and AM together. So the only thing I'm going to have you do is know where the mute button is. So the mute button is right here on the side where my finger is. You'll be able to feel it because it is raised. So when I say let's go ahead and turn that spirit box up, because you won't have an earbud.
Okay.
I think it's a little lower. It's right there.
Oh, that one, okay.
Yep, it's single by itself. So it's already set to the right sweep rate and for the auto noise canceling to take out the static. So hopefully we only hear words out of it. That's the goal and the aim for it. So you're going to be my experimenter.
How do I know when it's on mute?
You won't be able to hear it. Go ahead and hit that button.
Oh, so it's on mute.
Now it's
before.
on now.
Yeah.
See how it's just giving us random weird sounds? And again, you and I are going to play with the settings all night long.
Okay.
You're in charge of demodulate there.
Thank you.
Isn't that funny?
What's that? To turn it up, it's going to go this way. So you want to go that way. EMF meters. You guys have seen these all on television. These are obviously a necessity for what we're doing out here. It's going to measure electromagnetic fields. So anything coming from a building, our cell phones, things like that, it would literally, your cell phone would have to be touching it to make it go off. This is the first one that I use to kind of debunk things. So with this one, Faith, it only lights up. So it doesn't make any noise. So you have to kind of let me know when it lights up, and we're going to debunk things of where you're standing to make sure it's not coming from something man-made. The second one works a lot differently. So Andy, you're kind of my multitasker. So the top numbers is going to be the same measurements that Faith has. Am I getting the names right, by the way?
Yeah.
Perfect. So with that, the top numbers, anything above 2.5 is her second green dot. So they are matched in the same type of measurement, so that way we can compare. The bottom, I want to know anything above 2.5 on that big number. The bottom number is ambient temperature. If Mark finds something, Noelle finds something on her camera, you and I are going to be able to debunk it or prove it pretty quickly by the ambient temperature probe here at the top. The last thing that it has is it has a REM pod built into it. So in the event something actually gets close to that antenna, it will go off. The closer it gets, the higher pitch we're going to get. You and I are going to talk a lot more about that at the next stop, so kind of hang on to that. I'm going to turn it off for now so you can just focus on the big numbers.
Got it. Big numbers.
2.5 and higher. Let's see. You're going to have a spirit box too. I wasn't sure if I was going to bring this out or if I was going to have you guys work together on the new one just so you guys can hear the same thing. But yours is going to be open air as well. So you two will kind of have to stay apart, just so you know.
Me and Carly?
No.
Oh.
Carly and
Derek.
Derek.
Derek have to stay apart.
Because they,
Have spirit.
yeah, they are going to have open air spirit boxes. So they're going to need to be away from each other. Now, you have a volume right here on the side of the ball speaker. Obviously, you hold it up to get volume, but obviously when I'm talking, just like Derek, I'm going to say, go ahead and mute it. So you just hold it down. So you'll get the gist of that. So kind of get a feel for where all this is at. You guys literally have all of my equipment. Go have fun. No, I'm kidding. Please don't go anywhere. Everything but the digital camera. All right, so. Uh-oh.
Batteries, flashlight.
Flashlight. It's like an emergency flashlight because it has like a red flash on it in case somebody gets hurt. So that way I can flag somebody down if needed. Something else down there that I'm missing?
They're leaves, okay.
Yeah.
Wasn't sure.
Definitely leaves. You guys definitely made my bag lighter, so thank you for that. So spirit box teams that actually have the earbuds in, if you guys are going to swap out and you want a new set of earbuds, I do have 2 more sets just in case anybody's weird about that. I am weird about that, so those of you that do have them, I don't want them back. I buy them in bulk. You get to keep your own earwax. Congratulations. I know, how nice of me, right? So, not to mention all the data. An extra souvenir. So let's talk about why we're here, because Noelle's anxious to get going. I can see it. She's like, I'm ready. I got this. So, Big John's, place behind me. It used to be owned by a football player named Big John. That's where it's got its name from. He used to play for the 1947 New York Giants. This was his bar. He used to sit in the back of the bar and tell the bartender if the cadets coming over from the Citadel, if they were old enough to drink or not. One night, 2 guys come in. They're not old enough to drink. He has a bartender throw them out. They come back the next night and they try to steal the cash register from the front of the bar. John sees what's going on, and he pounds his fist on the bar and goes up and just beats the heck out of these guys. Just pounds them right into the floor. A couple of gunshots go off. John gets hit in the neck, and the bullet lands in the wall. John gets up after being shot. He's the only one being shot, by the way. He goes back to the bar and tells the bartender to get him another beer, get the guy on the floor an ambulance. So, here's the irony. Don't mess with Big John. He'll beat you up. Second rule. What's haunting the place is the bullet hole. It's allegedly still here, even after the renovations of what the Big Johns we now know. If it's not there anymore, Big John's blood is in the building. I do get a lot of reports from you guys of people that sit in the front that can't finish their meal. It's very common. Queasiness, nauseous, headache, those kind of things. You're going to be dealing with paranormal activity tonight. Fingers crossed. I can't guarantee it because the ghosts aren't on the payroll, right? I don't pay them to make stuff happen. So, again, if anybody feels any of those symptoms, I need to know immediately. It's a very, very big deal. So I'm not going to say that I've never had to call the paramedics or EMTs based on too much paranormal activity. So again, you can call it what it is, but I've seen it too many times. So let's not talk about our own health. Andy's like, I don't know, man, that looks kind of cool. I want to fall down. But so let's kind of move on. If you haven't taken Charleston History Tour, you should already know that we already had a big earthquake here in 1886. Every tour talks about it. So allegedly, this is where the first death occurred from the earthquake. The white mantle in the middle of the building that you see also wraps around the front of the building. A piece of that broke off, hit somebody in the back of the head, and it killed them. And they say you could see his ghost in the middle of East Bay Street in the middle of the night. I say apparently and allegedly a lot with that story because I don't have any proof. It's just a great segue, so nobody's thinking about getting sick on the tour. So, and I bring it up again, so everybody's like, oh crap, you just said it again. You guys are all smiling now, like, ooh, somebody's gonna get sick. That's a weird reaction you guys have right now, unless I'm just that funny. Anyway, which I doubt, because I'm a storyteller, not a comedian. Are you guys ready to go ghost hunting? Carly, you ready?
Yeah.
Are you sure? It's all about you right now. There's a smile. Let's go ghost hunting, guys. Let's go this way. All right. 2.5. Bring it on in, guys.
Bring it
So,
on in.
first stop, level 1. So again, treat your entire time with me as kind of a ghost hunting 101. This place is going to be easy. Nice. You already got about 15 millidots there. I have the colors memorized. So you're going to see me keeping an eye on that guy all night long. And again, I'm going to compare it with what Andy has going on. So we'll kind of see what's going on. So let's talk about, by the way, sweetheart, your hand is covering the camera. The camera's right here, underneath your left hand. There you go. Perfect. So this is the Big Red Barn Lot. This is where we keep the horses for your carriage rides. In the summertime, this is a bad smelling place for y'all because I'm immune to it. I can't smell it anymore. I live in Charleston. So, I know. History here is really simple. We're going to keep it that way so I can work with each one of you on your devices and teach you a little bit more. This is where the same barn that we had that held horses that delivered milk and eggs to the residents of Charleston. That's it. 1860s to 1920s, roughly. We have a lot of spirit boxes out tonight, which is weird because I'm used to like having 2 or 3, and I think we have 5 tonight. So, spirit boxes, this is not television. This is not, is somebody here? Like everybody wants to ask. If somebody says no, that means somebody's here. So we are not going to be asking yes or no questions throughout the night. Some spaces I may give you questions that you can ask and kind of help you along with the that kind of mentality. But in this space, I normally tell the spirit boxes, you're going to ask questions you already know the answers to, like what color is the big red barn? Obviously, we're going to be looking and listening for the color red. So the color red might not be available to song lyrics and DJs that we're hoping are going to convey messages back to us. But fire truck, blood, heart, those 3 things are specifically red. So that to me would be an acceptable answer. What color is the big red barn? Blood. Okay, I'm good. However, most of the night, I'm going to require that there's 2 happenings, even EMF readings, to kind of verify what's actually going on. For example, I gotta look up at you. So, let's say Tom, right? Oh, look at me go. I'm on a roll tonight, guys. So, Tom has the word art on his word list. I don't think he does, but we're going to use it as an example. And then, Darby, your name's going to be easy for me. I don't know why. Darby hears the number 40. Art Faircloth was number 40 on Big John's team. Do you see where I have to put these clues together? This isn't going to be a hi, I'm Big John. My jersey number was this. I played for the Giants. Certain places, I'm going to give you keywords all the time. For example, I gave you the little bit of one-line history about the barn. If you don't get an answer of what color it is, then you can say what's inside the barn. No, he's good. Like, that's what I want out of that thing. I'm still listening. He's okay. So with something like this, I'd say what's inside the barn. Now, anything relatable to a horse in a stable is going to be acceptable, correct? But we also talked about delivery, milk and eggs, specific things. That thing is blowing up. Like, you already went all the way to its max rating of 25. Just so everybody has a kind of a comparison, Andy's device I've seen spike out at 198 milligauss. Faith's goes to 25. Do you see where the difference is? So he might actually have some little things going on, and to give
And I've
everybody,
got chills.
it's chilly.
Yeah.
Perspective on what the EMFs mean throughout your house. Behind your television, where all your wiring is going to be about 40 milligauss, roughly. Your microwave on high is about 150 to 170. So, and I have been in areas where it's been 150 to 190. So again, very dangerous levels. We usually move pretty quickly if they get up that high. So you'll have to let me know for certain. All right. Let's talk cameras. Does everybody have a great gist on their spirit boxes and how you're going to use them now? Again, you're listening for those song lyrics and DJs, and we're just waiting for noises out of yours. I know it sounds like scratching, but that's what we want.
Yeah, that's not me doing that, by the way.
Yeah.
See, you keep looking at me.
Let's talk about cameras. So, Noel, a couple of things that you're going to be looking for. So, I want you to point the camera at the wall. Do you see how the wall turned red immediately? Now, keep it right there. My hand should be in view, and the wall turned blue. So why I did that is because I want you to try to keep somebody, I don't care who, we have a pretty large group, somebody in your frame at all times, because it's much easier to see those cold spots when we have an array of color and a variance of temperature. The other thing you're going to try to do is keep the sky out. This is my tactic for having a short person have this camera, just so you guys know. So keeping the sky out will help us keep the blue dot from trying to measure a surface that's not there, because the sky doesn't have a surface, it's just open. So again, people in, sky out. Can you remember that? You got this. All right, so Mark, your camera. So go ahead and point one of your lasers down for me. So maybe a little bit higher. Just be relaxed with it. It doesn't have to be just comfortable. So I don't want you pointing down. I already know what the green dots look like. I want you to go through it. Like, I want to see what's going on here. So you guys are going to be like 2 to 5 feet apart, so that way you can actually see when something goes through it. And that way I can get a freeze frame of it. Go ahead and turn your laser off. Now, also with your camera, we're hoping to find things that we wouldn't normally be able to see. This is a chilly night. We're not going to have a lot of insects tonight, but when they do, they look like bright little white lights coming through. So again, I'm also looking for anomalies that I can't explain, have odd shapes, come a little too close to the camera. I've only had that camera.
So this is white hot. We're going to see.
No.
No?
She has white hot, black cold. You have things that shouldn't reflect normal light. We're working with light that our eyes can't see. Only the camera can see it. So hopefully, I'm looking. Go ahead and point the camera at me for a second. I should be in a purple circle. I'm looking for things up here in the darkness that shouldn't be able to reflect the light.
I see.
The other thing I'm going to show you too real quick is if we're huddled up in a group like this and somebody starts to bleach out your camera, you have 2 lights working for you. Turn off the short range and the long range is still working for you. And we still have that purplish pinkish hue. There's a red dot at the top. Little red button.
Right there.
Yep. And it's Velcroed on, you can't hurt it. Perfect.
Okay.
Now
Yep.
it's on. So,
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
you got it now?
Yeah.
Perfect. The bottom switch, just so you know, turns on night vision.
Right.
We don't use night vision just because it actually attracts too much attention from the other tours, and they start poking you guys like, "Hey, what are you doing? What's he got you doing now?" So pretty clever. Sorry.
Right.
All right. I think everybody has a great gist of what we're doing, so I say we go deep dive into history other than football players and ponies. Spirit boxes. If you hear anything on our way to the next stop, which isn't too far away, and we're going to start deep diving into the Pinckneys, let me know what you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're a spirit box. If something is trying to talk to you, you have a spirit box. It's a ghost box. It's a walkie-talkie to the dead. So,
Just to make sure.
Yeah.
Try not to pick better tonight, huh? We're watching Booth and stepping a man while we're on.
I know, I see his fingers and stuff. Right?
You got any words going on there yet, Tom?
Square.
So if you hit the little white square to the right, it'll show you the word list. What were the last few terms you had?
Now, square, card, portion.
Yeah, I got nothing. Okay. All right, so let's rein it in. This is beautiful tonight because there are no cars in here. This is a weird thing, so enjoy it. We normally don't have this much space. We're normally working around where the cars are parked. So, you're already getting stuff, which is awesome. Do you have any readings on yours yet?
0.9.
2.5 and higher.
Oop, there's 5.3, 2.4.
Okay, remember those numbers? I'm going to write them down after I tell you the history of the location. So you're seeing we're already getting spikes. After I'm done telling the history here, we're going to start your video. So Noel, you're still on task, so keep it going. So welcome to another beautiful site of Charleston, everybody. It's another parking lot. I know, it's a joke, guys. I've actually had people on this tour that make fun of the tour because they're like, he took us to parking lots all night long. I'm like, well, you obviously didn't get the gist of what we were doing. So, what was this place? This used to be the Charles and Eliza Pinckney Mansion site. Their mansion actually sat in the front of this space. And when I say space, I mean inside these walls and a little bit past the median that you see there where those parking spaces are. Eliza's garden lined up with Five Church Restaurant over there and came all the way across. And the servant and slave quarters were in the back of the space. Just so you guys kind of have the gist of, and I point out those things specifically on purpose. Spirit boxes. I'm not going to be giving you questions like what color is George Washington's white horse, like what we did over there with the red barn. You will get the answers from your spirit boxes. So, again, I will withhold information purposely, so that way everybody has a genuine experience.
The pressure is on.
I know. I'm putting you guys to work, and you guys paid me to do this. So, let's get into Eliza. Eliza and Charles had a son named Charles. They had a nephew named Charles. That's 3 different Charleses in case you lost count. Carly just looked at me like, oh man, it's a lot of people. So, it's 3 Charleses, the son and the nephew, signers of the Constitution for South Carolina. I hate politics as much as Noel, so we're going to move on. So, I'm going to teach you all night long, just so you know, because you're cute as a button. But anyway, let's talk about Eliza. She's way cooler anyway. It's Women's History Month, right? So let's do this. Eliza married Charles at a young age according to today's standards, not the colonial times that she came from. So you can ask her how old she was when she got married. I bring this up purposely because Charles was over double her age. So now you kind of have a gist. And I said today's standards, not colonial times, so it's not going to be like 12 and 25, like most people guess. So listen for numbers. I'll let you know if you're right or wrong. But anyway, she married him because her father over in England thought he was dying and he wanted to see all of his kids one last time. Eliza didn't think he was dying, so she stayed put. This is 1744. There's no such thing as marrying for a green card or citizenship. She married Charles out of love, and even after his death, because remember, he's over double her age, she remained a widow for a very, very long time. So, this is a true love story. But anyway, she was right. Dad got better, which means he starts sending her gifts from England to this space apologetically. One of those gifts happened to be the plant indigo. You guys have been in town for more than 15 minutes, so you've probably seen the term indigo somewhere. Indigo is a plant that makes blue dye that makes our blue jeans blue. Tom has it on right now, Mark has it on, a lot of you have it on. We got the point. So, indigo is very interesting because it was already here. The slaves brought it over from the Gullah culture, straight from Africa. She had to learn from them how to keep it cultivated. It's obviously not warm here all the time. So once she figured it out, she moved it to a plantation just north of here in Mount Pleasant and calls her dad, not literally because there's no phones. And we got little ones on the tour, I gotta remember. There's certain things I'll stop and make jokes about because of the age groups. Like Kodak, they don't know what it is. It's awesome. But anyway, so she calls her dad and says, I need some contacts to sell indigo to because the rice plantations are going downhill. We're going to make a killing. Now we have an international businesswoman during colonial times. Something absolutely unheard of for the time. That's her business. Let's get into the weird stuff because that's why you guys are all here, I'm sure. Eliza was the second wife named Eliza from Charles. Very smart or very stupid, depending on how you look at it. Ironically, both Elizas have a maiden name that starts with the letter L. That's all I'm going to give you. So, if you want to know which Eliza you're dealing with, ask her maiden name. You can ask what happened to the mansion. It's obviously not here anymore. Then you can ask, when did that happen? Something just touched the back of my neck, and I think it was just a leaf, I hope. Felt like a leaf. But anyway, sorry, I don't put my feelings into this. Notice you guys all have electronics. I'm not a psychic medium or anything like that, so when I feel stuff, I have to let you guys know. But anyway, the mansion year, like when that tragedy happened, yes, there's your clue. Hopefully you get that number. Eliza's children, tread lightly, please. Eliza does not like to talk specifically about a tragedy, something that happened among those kids. So basically you can ask what number, how many kids she had, and what their names were. Leave it alone. We don't want to stop any EMF that we already have going on for us, because it will stop. Eliza's death, you can ask anything you want to about her death. How old she was, what did she die from, where is she buried, what U.S. president was a pallbearer at her funeral, to show you how important she was. Notice none of these questions are yes and no questions. They're very, very specific. If you go rogue with your questions, let me know if obviously you got an answer and what the question was, so I can actually put it in your analysis. These are the same questions I give everybody every single night because they are common questions that we get answers to. So we're going to spend about 10 minutes in here based on how much activity we have going on. Based on the amount of EMF, have you had anything above 5.3 that you mentioned earlier?
6.9.
Beautiful. So we're going to spread out. We're going to use our lasers. We don't have to worry about vehicles, so pressure's off. This is the only entrance and exit. Sorry, I didn't mean to poke you in the eye. But this is the only entrance and exit for cars to come in. If I say act casual, car coming through, cameras down, and obviously we spread out to let the car park. I don't think it's going to happen, but you'll hear me say it. I will be bouncing around with all of you as I kind of find out what's going on. Remember, spirit boxes, there's a lot in play tonight. You might ask a question. The answer might come up over here, or there, or there, or there. We never know. That's why I bounce around and write everything down. So that way, when I reveal all the answers before we leave the space, somebody's going to say, I asked that question over here, but obviously the answer came up somewhere else. So, spirit boxes, let me know what you hear. I'm going to be working with Derek here for just a few minutes because I think we need to make that thing go a little bit quicker, like so he has a little bit more sound coming out of it. All right, everybody spread out, turn up your spirit boxes. Let's see what we can find out.
You're shining your laser down, and once it's looking through it.
See anything?
No.
Am I in it now? You see me?
Yeah. Dad, your eyes are like flaming hot.
Really?
Your eyes, yeah.
Let me see yours.
Okay. Does it look hot?
Yeah.
Did you hear something?
What? What are you supposed to see if you see something?
You're supposed to see like a little blue dot. White is hot and black is cold.
All right.
I have a few words.
Hang on, Tom.
Sure.
Is this Eliza number one or is this Eliza number two? One. You're number one. I heard. And I also heard the word through. And I heard body speakers. So I said one or two. I just said right after. I see.
You want to ask me a question?
Well, I think you can only.
Ask her what is indigo.
I think you can only have like a spirit box to do that. So
Maybe
you
they'll
can,
answer on another one's thing if we ask.
so you can like hear it in your ears and like. think. Let's see. What do you see?
Because there were the words that came up. Lost.
Kyle, Carvin, lost, page, now.
See anything else?
No.
Relax.
Alright, so let me kind of take a peek at your word list.
It's making radio noises.
Yeah, and that's what I want you to listen to. So see if the song lyrics and the DJs will tell you anything. And the commercials. Yeah, nothing yet. I still see nothing but 80%.
Hello? Okay, it stopped.
Oh, Dad, I see one.
What?
Never mind, that's a sky.
And it's the sky.
I don't see
When they
any.
say you see blue like forming into a shape,
Wait, what?
did he say blue like forming into a shape?
Well, not it. Oh, I see a blue dot. It's right there. See?
Where?
See, right there. See? It's moving. See it right there?
Yeah.
It's cold.
I know, right?
What time is it?
It's like 9:45.
Oh, Dad, I see another.
What?
It's right there. Oh, it went away.
Anything?
Oh, yeah, it's right there. It's 56.
What's that mean?
It's cold. 58, 57 point. It keeps changing.
Well, tell me what the commercial says. So if it says buy it now, I want to know that it said buy it now. Does that make sense?
I think it's a like yeah or something. But
Okay. Well, let's see if we can get some direct answers to those questions.
and it was like singing.
Singing. If you can make out what they're singing, that would be cool too.
It screeches when it does it.
Mm.
So try to not like hear.
Okay. Listen close. Again, you
Okay.
got the hardest job out here. How you doing over here on your end? Anything crazy going on? Do we have any ghosts yet? Pretty cool to watch, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's actually one of my favorite tools. This camera, just so you know, Tom, like that's the same camera the firemen use. Like
yeah.
it's the real deal. Like it's.
Sources, yeah.
hmm There's only certain phones that'll actually handle the software. So it's a construction phone. She can't hurt it.
Yeah.
So like that's I was like, yeah, we'll be cool. How old are you?
Ew.
8? Get out of here. And he brought you to a ghost store? This was your idea, wasn't it? Yeah, I'm sure it was. All right.
See, the firemen use it because you can see hot spots in a building, and that's where the fire is. Because sometimes when you show up, you can't see where the fire is. It's inside the building, you know?
It's all like really,
Uh-huh.
it's all like really red.
Play around with them. See what they do. Let me know if you can get a clear message out.
Red and orange.
I just heard the weirdest thing. Tell me if you're in trouble. And also rain on me.
Oh, there it is. It's, oh, that's really cold. It's like 40.
What's that?
The blue dot, it's like 40.1. It's like 38.
Keep in mind, your camera, like, it's not going to be spear box stuff, so you'll be fine back there.
What am I looking at?
So,
I'll turn it on and pretend we're doing this. Alright, so I'm looking through it, not at it, right?
I'm going to show you a few stills that will maybe help you get into that folder.
It was like 38.1.
Really?
32.7.
The best evidence I can give you. So this guy, that green blob is not supposed to be there. So again, something passed through it. Now my wife sees
Let's
3
see.
different layers. She went to school for photography. So anything I
Does
give
it
to
say
her,
anything?
I want to give it to her just in case I can't
Hello.
make it out. She said there's 3 different layers. So look at it on the ground and the pin is up. So right, take that picture. For other little things that I can find, something like this, I would normally discount as an insect passing through, but it has a nuzzles on. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for little things that are those little
$43,
Uh-huh.
43, 67, 62,
Uh-huh.
62.
What do those numbers mean?
It means like how like cold it is,
Oh, really?
and it means there's like
Oh,
If
the
it's-
temperature?
yeah, if it's like really cold, like really really cold, that means there's like a ghost there.
Really?
Yeah.
How about over here? Looks like it would be a good spot right there.
It's really hot. Oh, 63.2.
What's that mean?
It's pretty warm. See it right here?
What's that?
Right here. It keeps changing. See the blue dot? say anything? Leader. I wonder why it says leader.
Oh.
$46.
Son, you got anything else that came up? Jordan showed up here last night too. I have no idea what that is. That's weird. Okay. All right.
So
Nothing crazy.
What's the 80% again?
So the 80%, like, it's going to spit out words randomly. So when I get the full list, it's usually an average of about 80%. Doesn't mean anything. They're like throwaway words. But sometimes they actually mean something to you guys. That's why I give you guys the full list. So it's the other 5 to 20% where I obviously give you the links and show you why it was relevant. But right now, we don't have anything specific enough, and nobody's given me anything very specific yet. What do you got?
Like, I asked how many children it had, and in like a singing type of voice, it said 3.
Nope. All right, let's regroup.
Let's go back to this space over here.
So other than the
What's 9614?
14 is the amount of years that they were married.
She asked how many children did she have, and they 3.
It's the wrong answer. Unless somebody poke the bear about what happened with the children? Darby,
Did what?
did you like ask what happened to her kids?
He was trying to.
All I said was tell us. All I said was tell us about your kids.
Stop your videos. Did it lock up?
Yeah, I think so. Not doing it, not moving, right? So.
Yeah, so we're going to reset it. Derek, you can put yours on mute. Carly, go ahead and turn yours down. I'm going to reset it. We're going to stop the videos here anyway.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so just turn it back on here in a minute. So, Andy,
I did hear
Now-
Dirty Rotten.
here's what's going on. We had some really high spikes. I think the highest one you've had was 9.3, and then obviously the other one that Faith has been maxed out at 20 to 25, which is really high. Noel, you can stop your video too, so hit that red square for me. Catch up. Any names along the way?
Faith. And what about that?
Not your daughter.
Not your daughter. 969.
All right, Derek, let's turn yours down, and Carly, you're already good to go. Anybody else hear any names along the way? No? All right. Nothing came up on the word list, Tom? Studio. Yeah, I got nothing there either. It's actually a pretty weak list we have going on with that. So it might be closer to 90%. Remember, you should drop back a speed.
Yeah.
There you go. So then just hit that button once it boots up. All right, so let me tell you guys where we're at. You guys can kind of circle around a little bit. This also is considered a quiet space. That's why I asked for Derek and Carly to turn theirs down because we're next to the hotel. Some people actually might be sleeping in there. You know what's weird? I don't normally work Mondays, but I just opened up Mondays. So is that like something like you guys were looking for, like specifically for a Monday? Like I was surprised it sold out. This is the third Monday in a row I've sold out. Like I haven't worked Mondays in over a year. Decided to open up for March and see what happens, and I'm sold out every Monday. I'm like, I missed an opportunity. So it's just crazy. My wife's been laughing at me. So, but anyway, when we crossed that last crosswalk, we crossed over where the original Charlestown Wall used to be. We were discussing this earlier. You're standing on one of the very first streets we ever had. This is Lodge Alley. Obviously, it used to be called Lodge Street back in the day. So the reason I asked for names is because people used to live here. I have the full list of names of every person that's ever lived here. It's only about 2 pages long. It's not very lengthy. So the names I commonly hear are Benjamin and John. Here's where things get weird. At the Pinckney Mansion site, we were dealing with an intelligent ghost. You can ask questions, get answers. I get Benjamin and John every 6 to 7 weeks. Almost like on a perfect loop. I'm still trying to figure out where the exact thing is. If it's a moon alignment, I don't know what it is. Benjamin and John both lived here in 1801. Do I have anything significant about 1801 and Benjamin and John? I don't. It's just the same names over and over and over again. Another weird fact. You're standing on Belgian blocks. Belgian blocks are made straight from granite. If you're any kind of paranormal fan of anything, you already probably heard the term limestone before, where it kind of stirs things up a little bit. Granite does the exact same thing. Anything that comes straight from the earth like granite or limestone is said to hang on to the consciousness of memories. We're dealing with this stone tape theory here. So again, every once in a while I get another name that's Jane. That's 3 out of 5 people that lived here in 1801. Jane is still not a very common name that you hear today, so why would we hear it on the radio? They have no idea. So that's why I asked you for names, and I didn't give them to you ahead of time. A couple of nights ago, can't make this stuff up. As I'm about to tell you guys about the group I had that night about Benjamin and John, a gentleman standing along that wall gets a phone call from his friend Benjamin that he hasn't heard from in 6 years. I can't make this stuff up, I promise you. So, too weird for me to, I'm not that creative. I'm a good writer, but I'm not that creative. So, they did do an archaeological dig underneath these bricks. So here's where it gets a little funky and a little bit more historical. So they did find some of their clothing and tools and their silverware. They were able to classify these people as pretty much poor, like lower class folks. It makes sense because across the street where we were walking would have been the other side of the Charlestown Wall. The smell of low tide would be coming through here. The rich aren't going to put up with that. So if you notice, and if you've been down to the Battery, which we know you haven't because you literally got off the plane and came here, but the Battery has skinny houses in the front and they go long back. There's a couple of reasons for that. I bring it up here because we're going to talk about architecture. They're skinny in the front because you're taxed based on how much street side you took. So the skinnier you are, the less taxes you have. Now the Pinckney Mansion site, the picture I showed you, is broad against the streets. They're outside the city walls. They have money. They're politicians. They don't care about the taxes. That was bragging rights. We have a big house and it's beautiful. We're going to show it off. So the other reason why those houses are skinny in the front, we have piazzas, right? Piazzas are basically a front porch with a door for you northerners. So that is to stop the smell of low tide from coming into the home. They open up the second story window and they get the cool breeze from the water and it air conditions the house. Cool air drops, heat rises. So again, you have to remember how these houses are laid out. So if you guys are visiting those old mansions down there, you can kind of see how they would do things. Let's get into why this is named Lodge Alley. So again, this isn't a place where we ask questions. We kind of wait to see if those names pop up or anything else specific about those people, like their jobs, because I have that list too. This was where, before people lived here, the Freemasons had a Masonic lodge here, hence the name Lodge Alley. So we do get terms like Freemason, Mason, Illuminati has shown up a few times last year, so I was kind of chuckling at that, like really, I got to dive into conspiracy theories now. But again, I do get a lot out of this specific space, plus it helps lay out the rest, like the way the land was for the rest of the tour. And I stall here on purpose to tell you all of those weird little facts about the place. So here's what's going to happen next. We are going to go to another alley, but I can't take you through it like what we're doing right now. Why? I've been booted out. You guys have all the gizmos and gadgets and blinky lights and noisemakers, and it is residential at the end. We're literally right on the edge of where I'm allowed to take you as far as being a tour guide. So we're going to cut through that neighborhood, and we're not going to film. So once we exit the alley, you're going to stop your videos. And then we're going to restart it back up once we get to the other alley. I still tell the story because I still get a lot of evidence just by stirring it up. So it's kind of like a hybrid, like it keeps happening over and over again, but we keep getting more terms. So it's like a residual and an intelligent ghost all at the same moment. We get a lot of terms over there. and it's a really cool story because it's dueling.
I can't work for the rest of the week now.
After that, we're going to kind of go based on the spirit boxes. They help direct me on which way we're going to go. We're going to let this gentleman pass through. How you doing there, man? Hello. We're going to let the spirit boxes tell me which stories to tell. If you guys don't hear anything that's specific, there's like 15 stories on that corner. Most of them are true. Some of them are pretty false. And then we're going to deep dive into a female pirate. That'll be our last investigation, deep diving. So if you're into pirates, this is a crazy whopper of a story. Don't worry, Dad, I'll keep it PG-13. I know it's going to be pirates. It can get a little racy, right? But again, this female pirate, again, it's not even something that I believed in. I got booted out of that alley. I had to reroute my tour, and I'll tell you that story as we kind of move along. It is funny, but it is definitely relevant to our last tale. So when we exit the alley, Noah, you're going to stop your video, so that way when we hit the street, you're not even recording, so we'll be good. You can record on the way there. But you can, as we go through the rest of the alley. Some people like to get some footage in here because they do capture a lot of orbs. Is it on, or did you die again?
No,
So your battery died. We usually have to do one battery swap in the middle of our tour, so not a big deal. So hang on to the frame for me, and I'll swap the battery out as we're walking. Any other questions about like stone tape theory and residual ghosts and how that works? Because this is really the only space I've ever really truly dealt with that. And I didn't even piece that together until probably 4 or 5 months ago, where I was like, that's the damn stone tape theory, them damn Belgian blocks. I was researching the bricks so I could tell more things to you guys about the tour, but once I realized that they're made out of granite, it was like an ocean moment.
And this is your typical street weed wet from here, or?
Yeah, on a horse and carriage.
Yeah.
Like, we're standing on somebody's stoop back here. Like, this is how close the houses were. Like, this is it. And again, when I say a lot of people lived here, there was only like 5 people at a time.
Was there indoor plumbing?
Probably not.
They just it out the window?
Probably, they got drains right in the middle of the road.
The chamber pot went out the window?
Yes.
We do that in Scotland.
Like Ian? Ryan. So we've only got about 5 minutes of footage to get you so far. So let's get some footage as we walk out. Be sure to turn it off as we exit, because we'll have to fill the neighborhood. I'll tell you when we can turn it on again. We're filming now. So.
Is this where?
Sometimes this camera will give me trouble, and other nights it's super great. I don't know what the deal is. I already called the manufacturer. Yep. It's just an altered lock frame, so it can see the lights.
And then the number should be indexing right there.
Yep. Yep. All right.
Is this where the working girls hung out?
There was a lot of them that lived here. They were seamstresses, so that was a code word.
Some of them.
Roxanne, just do that. Go ahead and stop this video. And yeah, you would definitely want to record some stuff in here. So Mark, same thing with you. So let's get your video going. Just because this story is like 5 minutes. I love the fact you guys are like bouncing back and forth with the earbuds. It's hysterical. This is a crazy story, so you guys got to kind of follow me a little bit. But first I want to point out that we're going to be talking about this powder magazine over here. Okay, so that's the building with the crosses on it. First off, those are not crosses. We talked about the big earthquake.
Advancing, right?
Yeah, but you locked up again. We just lost 8 minutes. In a couple of minutes. Go ahead and stop it, and then we'll start it again. So that way we don't lose more footage. We don't have much coming out of your camera.
No, it locks up, so.
Yeah. So that's why I say every 2 or 3 minutes, stop it and start it again. Right now we only have 7 minutes of footage.
Okay,
So stop it.
They'll stop?
Yep. No, you're working now.
Good, that's what
So,
I
yeah,
thought.
we wanna
Move,
record.
it's indexing.
I told you guys about the big earthquake of 1886. That's why these earthquake bolts were put in. The just behind nose is that they're turnbuckles. So if we have another earthquake, which we haven't, you can turn those turnbuckles and it's supposed to straighten the building back up. It's a great idea, it just doesn't work. So again, I point these ones out because These are the very first ones we put in because it's the oldest government building in South Carolina. It held gunpowder for 7 different wars, including the Civil War. That was its last servant. It's a museum now, so if you ever need to get out of the heat or the cold, it's a great $5 ticket. Anyway, I'd like to bring this up because we talked about the walls earlier as well. See how I kind of set this up for you? This is where the wall existed. So we're still inside the original Charlestown walls. It went up past the powder magazine and started going south behind me. It locked it into the corners. If it gets attacked from 3 blocks away, that's a far distance for a cannonball, from either a Revolutionary warship or a pirate ship, it's going to have a hard time going through the 32-inch thick walls. They're pretty thick. So let's say it goes all the way through and penetrates and blows up the gunpowder. There's sand in the roof that's supposed to blow up with the explosion and then fall to put out the fire of the gunpowder. Another great idea that doesn't work. We had another powder magazine that it actually did get attacked. It got hit, sand up, building burned down. So it doesn't work. It doesn't exist anymore. We're here because this is the same time frame as when our friend Anne Bonny was living in Charleston. It's kind of like using a toy to try to talk to a child ghost. This is what I call a familiar. So it's a familiar building because we don't have many buildings from this time period here in Charleston. So this building took 10 years to build. Does that sound like our government? Small building, 10 years? A little bit, right? Our story begins in the middle of its construction, 1708. Here's where it gets all crazy. In 1708, a young lady moves here by the name of Anne Cormack. She's with her father and his mistress. The mistress is her mother. Are you guys with me so far? Okay. The 3 of them are running away from his wife. How angry was she? Just saying. So they land in Georgetown. Dad buys a plantation, and I was like wondering where Mark was going. Sorry, distraction.
Hard to know with him.
So Dad buys a plantation in Georgetown. Mom dies pretty quickly. That means he has to send young Anne down here to Charlestown to sell anything from the plantation and keep things going. So back to Ireland for a second. Anne was kind of a hardcore badass. They say she actually killed one of the servants with a knife to the belly. You're just a victim for me tonight, man. I'm just abusing you. I usually go to the person to my right. You just happen to be there. But she was kind of hardcore, so keep that mentality as I tell you the rest of this. Where was I? I got all off track with Andy. Oh, so anyway, she's coming down here. We're going to fast forward. The building's finished in 1713, so the number 13 shows up here often. But 1715, 2 years after that, pirates are coming through town. Anne is stoked. She's going to fall in love pretty quickly, and she knows it. This guy's name is James Bonny. Dad doesn't approve because he's a filthy pirate, right? I wouldn't approve either. So they run away to Jamaica. They get married. Anne Cormack becomes Anne Bonny, your most famous female pirate of the Golden Age. So, when they get down there, James Bonny is not the swashbuckling, rum-drinking Captain Jack Sparrow that you hope for. Yes, I practiced that in the mirror, Derek. I seen you looking at me. So, this guy is a privateer. He's a coward in her eyes. He's a spy for the British. So, a few years later, she falls in love again. Guy number 2, I'll keep track. Guy number 2's name is John Rackham, a.k.a. Calico Jack. We're going to call him Jack because it's a much cooler name for the rest of the story. He has his own ship. Anne wants to be part of it. Girls curse pirate ships. Don't ask me what the deal is with girls on my crew or on my tour and being cursed, but that's the way it works out. He makes a deal with her. If you dress like a guy and hide your gender, you can be part of the crew. You're going to be a female in my quarters. He's the captain. That's how it goes. Anne's okay with this because back home in Ireland, Dad used to cross-dress her as a boy to keep her away from his wife. So she's good. I'm a pirate. Let's go. Adults, let's put 2 and 2 together. Being a female in the quarter, she's eventually going to get pregnant. You cannot have a pregnant pirate dude on the crew. Somebody's going to figure it out, right? So he drops her off in Cuba. Go have a baby. These are friends of mine. They'll help you. Come back later. We'll figure it out. So she has the baby. She comes back with no kid. We have no idea what happened to this child. She's also dressed like a girl. She doesn't give a damn anymore about hiding her gender. This makes Jack mad. Jack also just captured another pirate crew and they're down below deck. Anne's going to go flirting because that's what Anne does. We're on guy number 3. Guy number 3 turns out to be a female dressed like a guy to be part of the pirate crew that Calico Jack just captured. Yes, I practiced that one in the mirror too. So, now we have 2 females doing the exact same thing on the same ship. Her name is Mary Read. She convinces Mary and Anne, possibly lovers, we never know. So that's kind of like how that story goes. But she convinces Mary to become part of the crew. The British find out where they are. They send their entire fleet of ships to come take down one pirate ship. Anne and Mary are the only 2 not drunk enough to come up and fight with their 1-bullet muskets. What do you think's going to happen? They're going to get taken. As they're being arrested, Anne looks at Jack, the captain, her beau, and says, "You should have fought like a man instead of going down like a dog." So the word dog will show up here often too. The judge, Nicholas Laws, Chief Justice in Jamaica, not Nicholas Trott that we just talked about. Lots of Chief Justices named Nick. I know, I'm popular. So, Laws wants to see the 2 men they fought back by themselves. He already tries and hangs Calico Jack, so his crew's already dead and gone. Anne and Mary go in front of him, reveal their gender. He doesn't care that they're female, they're still pirates. "We plead our bellies," was the last thing they said, hoping to free themselves and not get hung. fine. You can't, well, first off, you can't hang a pregnant woman at 1720. It's illegal. So he sends them both back to jail. Dad is still here in Charleston with his Irish money. He bails out Anne. She marries again, husband number 2, guy number 4, because yes, we're going to count Mary, has 4 children and dies at the age of 84. I know all of my death stories are very abrupt ending. However, Mary Read, she died in 1721, a year later from whatever pirates died from in Jamaican jail. You can use your imagination. I'm sure it's scurvious and bumpy and gross and whatever else you want to come up with. 2 things I left out of here. By this point, you guys all know how to use your devices. Obviously, we're going to stay out of the way of the other tours. But the 2 questions you can ask on your spirit boxes that I can give you that I can prove for certain, everything else is fair game. The name of Calico Jack's ship, if you want to find out what that is. I did not mention it. And the name of Anne Bonny's parents, that would basically be the father and the mistress/girlfriend. So for those of you younger ones with spirit boxes. Anything else that you want to ask is fair game. Again, you guys know what you're doing by now. You've been with me for about 2 hours. The front of the powder magazine where that crew just went, so those of you with lasers and cameras, if you want to go to the front to get us some footage, you can. The only thing I ask is that you stay out of the way of the other tour. They're going to be gone briefly. Wait your turn. Put your cameras right inside those wrought iron gates and see what happens. I told y'all at the beginning of the tour about people passing out on my tour. I know you have something to tell me, but I'm going to get to you. There's a lot going on here. She's very anxious. She keeps getting closer. So back in September, I brought a group back here just like this, and the young man next to me goes white as a ghost, pun intended. I pick him up by his armpit. I take him over to that wall over there, which is where we're going to end, by the way. And I send his boyfriend over across the street to the vending machines to get him a bottle of water. Brings it back. He starts feeling better. I then tell the story I just told you. I send everybody out to go play with their devices. They hold me back. We have to tell you something. What's going on, guys? We are 2 transgender males, meaning I had 2 females dressed as men on my tour, just like Anne and Mary. Take that for whatever it is. Again, these are uncanny things I cannot make up. It is too weird. They're perfectly fine with me telling this story every single night because it is very relevant to the story. They were actually happy to be part of the story instead of just interacting the way you guys are. So it was kind of like, as soon as we entered, I'm telling you, this kid went white as a ghost. And it was a cool night, just like this. So take that for what it is. Let's spread out. I want to look at your camera, Mark, because it doesn't look like it's recording again. Again, let's have some fun. Let's see what we can capture here.
Does it sound elaborate? Hello, I'm back again.
Anything?
No.
What's the name of the ship?
What ship?
We said Anne Bonny's ship.
I don't know.
That's what.
No. Oh. 51.8.
Sorry to give you a hard time.
No, that's all right. It's all good. Yeah. Not a problem at all.
52.8.
Gonna walk around.
What?
Gonna walk around.
Sure.
I can't get me a papa. Oh, let's go this way, Ari. Outside? Are we supposed to go outside? Ari?
Sure.
Ari's with me. I know. We're going down the sidewalk. Ari, come.
Ready to go down?
Sure.
headstock. Now hold your laser thing and I'll look through it.
See anything back there?
Yeah. 53 points. Zero.
Huh?
53.0. There's one right here. Right there.
I got three.
Dad.
You see me?
I'm like, oh, great, I can't even play with it. I literally just got it and threw it in the bag. Like, sanitize it, hurry up real quick, throw it in the bag. I'll play with it on the tour. Full group, we'll get it out. Tom, you got anything?
Oh, just Matrix, same, Slave, Final.
So the interesting thing, when I see slave, especially in this area, most pirates, believe it or not, were slaves because pirates were taking over ships. They would give them an option, come to the crew, or we'll send you on to the Americas to become slaves. So a lot of times they would take the option of becoming a pirate. They were just never elected to be a captain, so you don't hear about a whole lot of African American captain pirates. So very interesting, weird fact. Wait for Mark and Sue to come back around and we'll wrap this party up because you guys aren't giving me a ton here. Your word list is probably the weakest I've seen in a long time. I'm not even gonna lie. Like normally I have at least 4 or 5 like aha moments. Like, you've got nothing. I mean, I'll look at it with a fresh set of eyes in the morning to see what's going on. All right, you guys hang out here for a minute. I'm gonna grab the rest of the group and we'll get this party wrapped up. Let me know if you guys see stuff up there. All right, guys, let's get this party wrapped up.
We got a name.
What do you got?
Carl.
So, I get Charlie about 4 out of 7 nights a week because Charles can't live right across the street. And at that point, I also look for the word promise because that particular Pinckney actually added the Pinckney promise to the Constitution. So, again, I always look for because somebody hears Charles here almost every night. Like, it's just becoming very, very common. All right. So nothing super specific. You guys didn't give me any numbers in real time. Oh, we did get the word tournament. What do you got?
We got 10 and 3.
10 and 3. Add those two together.
Oh, that was
Huh?
10 and 3. 10 plus 3. What year was this building finished? 1713.
Yeah.
It's close. And it's kind of a stretch, but we're going to take it at this point. It's been kind of a weak night. All right, so I like to...
Interesting thing. Upon 1,000 years.
That's interesting. Very interesting.
Oh yeah, and we also got Many Among Us.
Many Among Us?
Why are you trying to freak us out?
All right, let's go ahead and turn down those spirit boxes. I'll show you guys what Anne looked like and give you the answers to the 2 measly questions that I gave you. This is one of the few photographs I could find of Anne with a shirt on. Anne liked to bare her breast to show the men that she killed that they were just killed by a woman. So I get a lot of teenage boys on this group. I don't need angry moms. So that's what Anne looked like. As far as Calico Jack, Anne Bonny's parents' names were William Cormack and Mary Brennan. So we had another Mary in there, which you guys were not expecting. That's why I do that question, because you're not always expecting that secondary name. This is Calico Jack. He was called Calico Jack because he wore the jackets of the men he killed. He's a very dapper young filthy pirate. And the name of his ship was called the Kingston. Do I expect Kingston to come through a radio station? I do not, but King will suffice for this particular type of thing. I've even had people hear the term Queen. which to me is still relatable because we're close to Queen Street, but I also look for some of the ghost stories that are on Queen Street when I get that term. This is a very light night, I will be honest with you. I am always honest with my groups. So as far as like what we actually captured in real time, pretty light. Of course, we are experimenting with a new device. The word list, I just told Tom, is probably the weakest one I've seen in 2 years' time. So we'll kind of see what I see out of a fresh set of eyes with it. We'll see how the videos come out. And everything that I do for you guys in the morning is downloadable. All the audio pieces will be MP3s, and the videos will go to YouTube, so that way you can save them. That way you don't have to keep revisiting my website. Obviously, copy paste all my notes and anything that I find in real time. But again, hopefully what I find in the morning is going to be much more than what we caught tonight. Because again, this was pretty light. Not that you guys did a bad job, it's just the ghosts aren't on the payroll. I can't make stuff happen. I keep everything up on the website for an entire year. You want to go back and see what happened on your birthday? If I had a tour that day, it'll be that. There's some nights it's a oh my god moment. There's so many links that I had to give out, and it takes me a little bit longer. Might happen to your tour. Who knows? I'm normally done by noon, just so you guys know. If it goes a little bit longer than that, it's because I had to deep dive in research and find a little bit more, just to be able to attach things for you and give you guys some good solid links. What questions, comments, concerns do you all have? I'm going to start collecting devices at this point.
I also had another name.
What'd you have?